So we have the Princess of Wales, the Duchess of Sussex, both apparently now traversing the globe, talking about very similar issues. Is the world big enough?
Is the world big enough? Well, look, there's so much royal travel going on at the moment, as you can probably tell from my bags under my eyes and yours too, Matt. But I mean, we've had Meghan in Australia, we've had Kate going to Italy, we've had Meghan going to Geneva. Obviously, we were with the King in America and Harry in Ukraine recently as well. I mean, there's so much going on at the moment. I think it's a sign that the royals are just really popular. People want to hear what they have to say. Now, whether you're Kate talking about early years or whether you're Meghan also giving that speech as she did in Switzerland the other day, people are still very interested. To answer your question, is the world big enough? Yes, I think it is. It's a big place, the world. But there are only very few people that people want to hear from. And from the reception, as we know, we saw ourselves, didn't we, that Kate got in Italy. I mean, there are many other places you could go in the world and still be very popular. And we're actually giving Kensington Palace a list of all the places. Well, maybe the education system in Maldives is quite nice, or maybe we could go to South America. So this is the start of Kate doing a lot more global travel. And the significance of the Italy visit, of course, was it was her first since her cancer diagnosis.
Well, we'll get on a little bit more detail about what happened on the ground when we were in Italy, because it was a pretty immense trip. Samara, back to my point, is it a coincidence that the Duchess of Sussex appeared in Geneva just a couple of days after what was, in effect, as I said last week, I think the Princess of Wales' biggest, most important, most vital foreign trip she's done, I think, ever since she was a working royal. I think it was so significant that this trip was her first solo visit after 4 years, and we were told it was going to be the beginning of her kind of global campaign for the early years. Is it a coincidence that Meghan came out a few days later, just round the corner?
Coincidence, I think not. I think it was very much strategic on Meghan's part. I think that she wanted to steal a bit of the limelight, considering Kate's visit to Italy was so successful. It looked, from the looks of it, that it had been sort of put together last minute. Now, that's just an allegation, but it did look quite slapdash, all things considered. Meghan's actual speech was also, it's being contested at the moment as to how that was even put together, because it seemed very contrived. I mean, Meghan can't manufacture this authenticity that Kate just naturally has. And I think that that's where the real issue and chasm between the two women lies. You know, I'm not really trying to compare them because I don't think there's a comparison to be had there. Kate is an active working member of the royal family, and Meghan sells jam on a website and lives in California. I mean,
they are doing similar things now. I mean, Chris, we were at that briefing, if you remember, which I've got to say, you know, we were given a lot of information from Kensington Palace because they really wanted to telegraph to us the fact that this was the start of something new for the Princess of Wales. It does appear that, you know, we're talking about joking about the Maldives, but it does appear that they want her to travel around the world, almost like William does with his Earthshot Prize. And then we also have the Duchess of Sussex, who was in Australia, and as Bronte said on the other show the other day, they are unapologetic about the fact that they want to do more of these. We are in a situation here where we have two glamorous, world-famous royals traversing the globe.
Yeah, there's a big difference, though. Harry and Meghan are doing it in part to make money. Yes, there's some philanthropic stuff as well, but they will admit that they're there. What was the Australia visit about? Well, partly it was about so Harry could connect with the Invictus Games community. Partly it was so Meghan could launch her business in Australia. That's the next place she wants to take her website, her jam, her flower sprinkles and her rosé wine. So they have to do it with a business acumen that obviously Kate doesn't need to worry about. And you're right to say that they were really signaling to us this wasn't a vanity project for Kate. This wasn't her just going to Italy to look glamorous in the middle of a beautiful square in Italy. It was actually because she has this interest and she's laser focused on these early years, the 0 to 5, the most important years for your brain. I don't know what happened to mine when I was in my first 5 years, but that's the message that they gave us, wasn't it? A very comprehensive briefing to say this is the start of something for Kate. And I think you're right to compare it like Earthshot for William. I will see Kate at least once a year, perhaps more than once a year, going into different parts of the world to see different approaches to how we bring up our youngest children.
Sorry, Samara.
Oh, no. I was just going to say I agree with that. But I think, one of the main lines in Meghan's speech was, I wish these tech companies would just place people over profit. Well, what are you doing, Meghan? You're placing profit over your service and your purpose. So it just doesn't quite make sense. I don't know how easily people are going to fall for this sort of charade, this act that she puts together as a pseudo-royal. Whereas with Kate, it's very easy to get behind that cause because she's been with it for so long, years and years and years she's been trying to champion.
There's often criticism when we do our other shows, when we compare the Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Sussex and their work, because almost like we're pitting two women against each other. I cannot divert from this idea the last couple of weeks that they do seem to be, both on a global campaign. And on that point, I remember during Oprah, I've written down here, when Meghan spoke to Oprah, she said about Catherine, if you love me, you don't have to hate her. And if you love her, you don't have to hate me. Am I being over the top by comparing Catherine with Meghan? Is it unhelpful for both of them moving forward?
I mean, there is the old trope that it's always the women behind the scenes that are trying to pull the husbands apart, and why in the media do we focus on the two wives, for example, rather than the two brothers? Although that's a relationship that's not going particularly well either. But you're right to say, I think that I disagree that you can arrange a trip like Meghan going to Geneva just off the back of Kate going to Italy. I mean, these things take a lot of planning. And I think there is a fair bit of coincidence here, both with the King and Harry, and we'll come on to that a little bit later. But I just think that they suddenly feel like people want to hear what they've got to say. The audience in America is fairly limited, and also the news in America is entirely focused on what's happening in the White House every single day, and therefore they want to get out and speak to other audiences, and they do. I mean, to be fair to Meghan, that is one of her and Harry's passionate subjects is online harm and the damage that we are as a global society doing to all our children by allowing them access to these social media sites.
I'm going to get brickbats for it in comments, but I actually thought her speech was quite good. I actually think that Meghan is quite a good speaker.
Yes,
I actually think that she actually does very well.
I mean, she's always been a good speaker because she's an actress. I mean, she's always delivered better speeches than her husband has. Although I have to say, the speech that I witnessed Harry do in Ukraine recently was one of the best I've seen him give.
Oh, we'll get onto that in a minute.
Yeah,
Chris,
but I think Meghan is, yes, a very good speaker. She's the first time I saw Meghan speak without notes, she was with her mother. She was inside a big marquee inside Kensington Palace, launching that cookbook for the communities of Grenfell Tower, and I was pretty blown away by just her ability to make such an eloquent speech, to connect with her audience and do it in such a natural way. I think she is a very gifted speaker.
So who wins in this? I don't want to make it like some kind of competition, but they are. As I keep saying, they are both royals that are kind of on the global stage campaigning, or do they not? Are they not competing because they are in different spheres? Meghan will make his speeches. Catherine will be turning up, promoting her early years and getting a huge ovation in Italy. But who do you think wins if there was a competition?
Gosh, I mean, look, I find Meghan very self-indulgent, and I found that speech very self-indulgent in the way that it was put forward and the way that you could see that it was all about her. But I think who wins? I mean, I don't think it's a competition, really. I think they're both in completely different lanes. Catherine is going to be the future queen, and Meghan, I guess, has her own future in Montecito. But, they're both it does seem like they're both trying to emulate each other in some sort of way, and I don't know if that can end well.